With my college basketball beat all wrapped up for the season, I'm back to the blogosphere. So this is the Word on the Farm video blog for the NCAA Tournament Sweet 16 edition. So for this one, we're going to go over the Sweet 16 matchups and quickly go over my picks. My bracket took way too many hits over last weekend, and so I'm not even going to worry about what my bracket looks like. Well, let's just say I had to tar and feather it really quickly and make sure that no one ever saw it ever again. But what we're going to do now is go over one by one who I have, why I have them for this weekend in the Sweet 16. Alright, first off, it's Syracuse and Wisconsin. I had Syracuse already out at this point, so once again it proves that my picks have not been very good to this point, so take it for what it is. At this point, Syracuse against Wisconsin, Syracuse has gotten a lot farther than I thought they would without Fab Melo, and even though they're facing a lot more of a physical team this time around in Wisconsin, I do think that Syracuse has proven that they are deep enough to be able to get farther into this tournament, so I got Syracuse for this one. Alright, also in the East region, I got Ohio State and Cincinnati. Cincinnati has been one of the hotter teams in the tournament, and even down into the last round, in the round of 32, I was really torn between Florida State and Cincinnati. Both were rolling going into their conference tournaments and rolling coming out of them. Cincinnati is definitely one of the better teams left, but Ohio State has proven that they are still that team to beat in this region, and so I've got to go with the Buckeyes. Down into the Midwest, you have North Carolina and Ohio. Ohio is the Cinderella of the remaining teams, a 13 seed who has reached the Sweet 16. North Carolina may or may not have Kendall Marshall going into this one, but even if they don't have Kendall Marshall, their North Carolina big guys are still going to be too much for Ohio. This is going to be North Carolina running away. And on the bottom half of that Midwest, you have NC State and Kansas. This entire region, the Midwest region, has really come down to, I think many people believe, North Carolina, Kansas, and I can't go against that. I got Kansas taking out NC State. Out in the South region, you got Kentucky and Indiana. This is the rematch of the December matchup between these two teams, and I'm sure Kentucky remembers that three-point shot that cost them what could have been a perfect season going into the NCAA tournament. Kentucky is going to have them on a neutral court, so this is going to be all Wildcats in that one. The next one is going to be Baylor and Xavier, which is probably one of the more interesting matchups of the remaining 8 games. These two teams have really had Jekyll and Hyde types of years. Baylor, when they're playing to their ability, may be the best team in the country, but that always isn't the case. And the same goes for Xavier. Ever since the brawl against Cincinnati, they hadn't been the same team, but they're playing better right now, having gotten to the Sweet 16, even though they had a few pieces kind of fall into place along the way. But I got to go with the overall skill. Baylor has the talent, Baylor has the big guys, Baylor has the athleticism. I'm going with the Bears. Alright, finally into the West region. You got Florida and Marquette. Florida benefited from having one of the number 2 seeds knocked out, that being Missouri. And Marquette has continued to roll, and they've been one of the more consistent teams all season long. And I've got to go with the Golden Eagles in this one. With Jay Crowder playing as well as he is in the NCAA tournament, it's tough to go against that team. Buzz Williams has his team playing very well, and I see them moving on to the Elite 8. The final matchup is Louisville against Michigan State. At this point, we've seen that Louisville has played well. Michigan State has played well. They won the Big Ten tournament to get into to be the number 1 seed. Louisville won the Big East. And so this is a matchup of obviously 2 conference tournament champions, but this one, Louisville just looks so much hotter right now than Michigan State. I'm going with the Cardinals in the upset to move on to the Elite 8. For the Word on the Farm, I'm Zack Farmer.